Oh, hold on, I'll start over. So I will officially kick off the meeting from with regard to the comprehensive plan update, public meeting number 2. I appreciate those that are here in attendance. I know it's not as many as we would like to have here. There are some cost considerations. Originally, I was hoping to mail out a postal card to every household, but it became prohibitively expensive. So I think we'll save those monies for either the subsequent public meeting or as we get a more fuller draft together to notify people that we've got such a draft available. What we're going to be doing tonight, which Beta Group and its various attendees will be helping us through, is really typing with the fingers a whole bunch of different things rather than a conversation side of stuff. They'll go through the particular process and all that, but more what I need to do is to just say welcome, especially to all of you that are attending. Appreciate your patience as we go through this. It might actually be really easy with a smaller group of folks to go through this. I've gone through a dry run with this personally, and it's kind of a neat process to go through. And I think it will add a lot of value to the information that we're trying to pull together with regard to the comprehensive plan. So since we have a limited amount of time for this, I'm going to turn it over to Emily to help get this kicked off. And she may turn it over to another individual who is their computer expert, but at least Emily's going to start us off. Emily.
Thanks, Herb. Yeah, so I've got a couple of my team members here who will be monitoring the chat box and doing the slide progression, and Leah is one of them. Leah, if you would actually move on to the next slide, that'd be great. So my name is Emily Slotnick. I am the project manager with the Beta Group, who's been helping the town on this comprehensive plan update. I wanted to also introduce the committee, and just for the interest of time, I'm gonna name the committee in alphabetical order of last name, so that all of the attendees here tonight know who has been really driving this plan and putting in a significant amount of volunteer time to make sure that this is a plan reflective of the community. So we have Lynn Carlson, Ann Dixon, Nathan Dovin, Sherry Elderkin, Bob Heavey, Julie Letty, Mark Lemoy, Larry Manier, Greg Mars, Lisa Narkowitz, and Tom Pendergast. So special thanks to all of them. They are all here tonight. They are in the Zoom boxes. You can see their faces as panelists here. And then again, on the Beta team, Emily Farmer is with us tonight. I've got Leah Strode, and Tyler Marin, who is actually with the Barrett Planning Group, but he's on our Beta team for this project. So we're really happy to be here tonight. Next slide, Leah. So our team came on board to support the town with this effort about a year ago at this point. But even before then, the town has worked in a couple of different efforts towards the larger goal of updating this comprehensive plan. The last plan was completed in the year 2000, so it's long since expired. And the process of doing a plan update is really critical for primarily for developing the roadmap, and in this case, a modern present day roadmap to guide Coventry into its next 20 years. We have, as a planning team and as a committee, come a long way in that last year. We've conducted research, we've done stakeholder interviews, we've completed existing conditions chapters, we've held a series of committee meetings and in-person, in a single in-person public workshop, which was the public workshop number 1 that you're seeing on the screen. And we've drafted a set of comprehensive planning goals, all of which both the goals and the results of the previous meetings, recordings of the public meeting, et cetera, are all posted on the project's website, which is, you can see the link at the bottom of the slide. So for those attending today, if you haven't checked out the website, please do so. That's really where we have been keeping the public up to speed with where the process is. We had a survey on there early on. There's also a general comment form, which I'll mention a few more times today. But that's our sort of best window of communication, and also the way that we're sharing the materials as we go through this process. Next slide, Leah. So that all brings us to today, where the intention for the meeting is to review the goals and brainstorm strategies and policies to achieve them. So I've mentioned goals a couple times now. A comprehensive planning goal, so that we're all on the same page, is really a desired outcome. When we talk in terms of goals, we're speaking broadly and high-reaching, but they're specific enough to be meaningful. And the current draft list of goals that the committee's developed, excuse me, out of the last several months of planning, really defines the community hopes and dreams, either by describing a future condition or describing sort of a quality of municipal operations. And just to clarify there, we've got a couple of examples. So an example of a goal that describes a future condition is the first one here. All Coventry residents have access to safe, sanitary, and affordable housing. That's stated as an aspirational goal, whereas the second goal is more describing an operational quality, capitalize on historic and cultural assets to drive tourism and economic development. So over the course of the meeting tonight, we will see all of the goals that the committee's drafted. But if you'd like to spend more time looking at them, you can find a PDF of the goals on the project website. And the last thing I will say about these goals, for those of you who have already reviewed them, either by posting on the draft website or by participating in previous meetings, or if you're a member of the committee, you may notice tonight that some of the goals presented here have been abbreviated for the purposes really of the presentation and to fit on the screen. They're all substantively the same, but we needed to cut a couple words here and there. So again, for the complete unedited versions with all of the detailed language that the committee put together for these, you should please visit the project website. Next slide. Okay, so as I already said, we are here today to really get your input on policies and actions that the town can take to achieve these goals. This is a working session tonight, so I will thank you a number of times for your time and your thoughts and your input, and we're certainly going to put you to work. So we have taken really the definitions, I think, straight out of the Rhode Island Comprehensive Planning Guidance Handbook, which is a really useful tool for municipal planning in this state, to just spell out the difference between what is a policy and what is a goal, because the terms get confused really quickly, especially, I'm sorry, a policy and an action. See, I'm already confusing it. So these things, I think it's important to just lay the groundwork right up front here. So a policy, a statement that guides municipal decision makers in support of efforts to achieve a goal. The policies of a comp plan give direction to decision makers and key community leaders, providing guidance on handling difficult issues, prioritizing the allocation of scarce resources, and working together to achieve goals. Policies set out the guardrails for action. They are procedures that must be followed for the goals to be achieved, and they set the tone for community action. So some examples of policy statements up here are: promote recognition of national landmark villages through interpretive signage and recreational access. So, that you can think of that being a policy from which you might develop a few specific actions. Similarly, ensure the affordable housing production plan is incorporated into land use and development planning and decisions. And like I said above, that's a policy statement that you could reasonably think of developing an action statement to comply with that policy, or it could be a standalone policy. Whereas an action is a specific measurable act whose implementation will bring the municipality closer to achievement of a goal. These are specific, they are attainable, they are implementable. You can normally put things like a timeline and a cost and a who's in charge type of qualifiers to an action. And they're really collectively the steps that we can take to reach these goals. So an example of that is straightforward: update the 2018 hazard mitigation plan. That's a discrete action that the town can take in a set amount of time. Another example here is conduct an assessment of parks and recreation facilities for utility, needed repairs, and ongoing capital requirements. So that's an assessment in and of itself would be an action. There would be a start, a finish, a cost associated with it, and a product at the end. You don't need to have a product for an action, but that's one way that we can tell that it's a discrete action. I may return to these definitions throughout today's session if it seems like we're getting off course, but really, as long as your input supports some framework of policy or action and achieves one of the stated goals that we're looking at on the screen, we can work with it. At the end of the day, your input here is helping my team and the committee develop the implementation plan, which will be a structured, it's structured out of the goals, recommended policies, and recommended actions. Next slide, please. So in just a few minutes, we will get into the crux of tonight's meeting, which is going to include a series of opportunities for you all participants to type in your ideas for policies and actions that address specific goals. What you're seeing here is what we have to cover in the next hour and a half. There's a lot. So we will pay very close attention to time, and we'll roughly get 8 minutes per category here. The categories in the blue to green are they coincide with the chapter headings of the comprehensive plan. So we're grouping a few of them, and you can see in the sort of time slot to the left there, but it'll pan out to about 8 minutes per category. You don't need to worry about that. My colleague Emily will be keeping time. She'll give us a 3-minute and a 1-minute warning during each session. And if we seem to wrap up more quickly on a session, I might open it up for discussion for a minute or two. But I will be very strict about cutting us off when we need to go on to the next one, because otherwise we won't get through all of them. And it is very important that we have a chance to contribute on each of these categories.
Emily,
Excellent.
I'm just going to interrupt for a second.
Please.
We have one person that is a phone-in caller. If that person that's on the phone whose number ends in 9046, if you actively want to participate on this, you probably need to be on a cell phone, a tablet, or a workstation. So it'd be good to come in via computer type of thing, because there is a typing exercise as part of this. You're welcome to continue to listen, but there may be limited discussion.
Herb, I will be giving a link for folks if they aren't following on Zoom but do have access to a computer. We'll be giving the website to the tool that we're using, so that there is the possibility that the person on the phone could contribute that way too.
Okay, great. I just wanted to make sure everyone was included. Yep.
Great, thank you. Okay, next slide, please. So we will be using a program today called Mentimeter to collect everyone's input. It's kind of like PowerPoint, but it allows you all, the participants, to add your comments to the screen. So instead of it just being a static presentation that I'm giving to you, you get to be a part of it. All of your comments are going to appear and scroll up as you type them, as you submit them, I should say. And it's a really cool way to be interactive in this type of context. So right now, everyone is seeing an instruction slide, rather. And what I will ask you all to do is, if you have a smartphone with you, to open up your camera and hover that camera over the QR code on the right-hand side of the screen, this splotchy sort of black and white thing. Your camera will pop up with a link, and you can tap on that link. Once you have navigated to the main page, you will see a heart emoji with a word on a screen with the word instructions, and we'll ask you to tap that heart emoji. And by doing so, you're going to let us know that you've made it in. And we're all seeing that happen on the bottom right of our screen right now, based on how many numbers and how many hearts float off into the screen. So for those of you that don't have a smartphone, the way that you can do this is to click the link in the chat, which hopefully one of my team members has dropped in there. And once you do that, you'll be brought to that same page, the Mentimeter instructions page with a heart emoji. Go ahead and tap on that. That'll let us know that you're in. And the third way to do this would be on a computer or tablet or phone or whatever you've got connected to the internet. Go to www.menti.com. And once you're there, enter the meeting code 638555, and you'll see the same prompt. So I'm going to give a couple seconds here. Right now, we've got 9 people that have made it in and have clicked that little heart emoji to let me know that you've found the right place. Got 11. And in total, I've got 18 people participating, including myself. And I'm definitely not going to be doing this right now. Maybe Herb isn't either. But I'd like to see us up to probably at least 13, 14. If anyone is having trouble with this part of the process, please do drop a note in the chat box so one of my team members can help out.
Emily, we do have our phone in person online, but it doesn't look like we have a chat function, so that will probably be done through the Q&A. And if you have a question about how to connect, feel free, and one of us will answer that question.
Thank you, Emily. Yeah, so when I'm saying chat, I should be saying Q&A. Okay, so we've got 12. I think there may be a few duplicates here of, I know we've got the IT person at Coventry who's not going to be participating, and myself and Herb and the person who phoned in. So I will move on. But again, for anyone who's trying to get onto the Mentimeter platform and who hasn't been able to, please raise your hand or type a question into the Q&A, and one of my team members will help out. And I just saw you raise your hand.
I don't see any hands up.
Okay.
Oh, hold on. There's one. Don has a question. So Don, go ahead, Don.
Yes, how can I tell if I'm in? I click the heart and does a screen come up on the phone?
If you're seeing the heart on your screen that you were able to click, then you're in.
Okay.
Yep, and the screen will change, and I'll get to that next piece.
Oh,
But
okay.
it sounds like you're in.
Okay. Yep. Thank you.
Meg,
All right.
Meg, go ahead. You'll have to unmute.
And did you also have a question?
I do have a question. I am mute. I can't see myself yet.
I just unmuted you.
Okay. I touch the heart, but there's a line that goes across my screen under the top, at the top, right under menti.com. It's only gone halfway across. So that really tells me that I'm not fully engaged in this particular application yet.
Okay, let's give it a minute until we go on to the next screen and see if your screen advances. And if it does, I'm confident that you're connected.
Okay, it's not advancing at all.
We haven't switched the screen yet.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So Meg, you should be able to unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay, while we're waiting for Meg, Leah, if you could go to the next slide. Great. So this is what it's going to look like on your screen in real time as comments are entered when we get into the activity. So you're going to have the goals on one part of the screen, and then folks are going to start submitting their thoughts, and they're going to come in as these little square bubbles. The more we get, the more stretched out they'll be, and they'll start pushing each other up, sort of like a backwards Tetris, for those of you that were raising children in the 80s or 90s, or were yourselves playing with video games in the 80s or 90s, you know what I mean. So we're recording all of these comments for our project team to use when we're compiling the draft plan. You, as participants here, are invited to submit more than one comment on every slide where we're going to rest for a few minutes. And while I do encourage you to submit as many inputs as you like, I would ask that you take some time to provide complete thoughts rather than just 1 or 2 word phrases. And we will give you the time to do that tonight. I'm going to stop talking for most of the time during each of these slides so that folks can really think about what you might want to say here and how you might contribute to an action idea or a policy idea. You don't need to worry, like I've said, whether you're on your phone or your computer, about being on the right slide. As soon as we advance the slide on our end, your Mentimeter interface will automatically advance to the next question. Next slide, Leah. So we're going to start with 2 rapid fire trial runs before we get into the actual actions and policies exercise. First, we're asking for you to tell us 1 or more of your favorite parks or open spaces in town. And whoever, does this first, you're going to see your response right on the screen. So let's see. I know all of the committee members are prepared to answer some of these questions. All right, we're in. I'm going to wait a minute before we move on to the next one.
Emily, could you explain where we submit these responses?
So you're going to enter the response right into your Mentimeter interface, and then click the arrow on the bottom right of that interface, which would be sort of like an enter.
I know I heard Meg a little bit earlier as well. I don't know if she figured out her issue or still is having one.
If Meg is still having issues trying to unmute, if you're on a computer, to unmute, it's in the lower left-hand part of your computer screen. And if there's a red line through the microphone, you just click on that and it will come off.
All right, so we've had 9 responses here. I could wait for a few more. Anne, did your response get posted on the screen?
You're muted, Anne.
I added kayak access on Johnson's Pond.
Okay, great. So then you're in. It's working.
Yes, thank you.
Anyone else having trouble? Okay, well, I will call out when we get into these exercises if we only have 8 responses or 9 responses, because we've got more than 8 or 9 people. So at the very least, we should have as many responses as we have people, and hopefully we get even more than that. Okay, so now we're seeing some more. There we go, and it's scrolling up. That's great. Okay, we're going to move on to the next one. Again, this is just a trial run. So next slide, please, Leah. Now that we all know how to use the tool, we're going to throw a multiple choice question at you. Please tell us how you heard about the meeting tonight. You've got a couple of options: social media, word of mouth, town website, or other. We'll give a minute for this. This is really just to help the town for future public events to better utilize the resources available for announcing and broadcasting these types of events. 4 others. If any of the panelists selected other, would you unmute and let us know what that was?
I'm on the committee, so I
I'm on the committee. Yeah. Ditto for me. I'm on the committee.
Okay, fair. I should have given you that option. I should have said directly from Emily or Herb. All right, very good. So again, we've got 9 people in, we've got 9 responses, okay. It may be that with the call in and with those of us doing the admin, the 9 is the number we're going to be working with tonight. So with that, we are ready to dive into the exercise. So it's 6:30 now, and I think that is exactly where we wanted to be. Leah, if you could advance to the next slide, please. Well, we're not exactly where we want to be, so we'll have to make up some time. But in any case, we're going to start with goals under the Community Services and Facilities chapter. These are the goals here. We're asking you again to give us ideas for actions or strategies to achieve the goals. For each slide, I will read the goals aloud, but I want you all to feel free to start typing your recommendations as I'm reading, including now. And after I read through the goals, you'll have the rest of the block of time to think about responses, to type them up, submit them in Mentimeter. Again, feel free to submit more than one. So that means there will be a few minutes of dead air on each of these slides, and that's okay. That's really part of the design here. I am inclined to want to talk, and I'm going to keep myself from doing so. We really want to give everyone enough time and thinking space to respond without the distraction of my voice. So I mentioned we'll let you know when we have about 3 minutes left with each slide. And again, a warning at 1 minute. And at any point in the process, if you would like me to remind you of the definition of a policy or an action, or provide an example of either, you can make a request, raise your hand, unmute yourself, or put a note in the Q&A box. The goal today really is just to get your ideas out and onto the page. We don't expect every entry to be perfectly punctuated or spelled or expertly crafted. We really just want to facilitate this dialogue and give everyone a chance to have some ideas expressed here. I want to offer one last option for anyone who's having a hard time, either with Mentimeter or just facing technical difficulties in general, or if you can't participate in person and you're actually viewing this, the recording of this meeting, on Friday, you can still provide us your feedback by visiting the project website, where there's a general comment form. So we invite you to submit your ideas for policies and actions right there on the general comment form. If you do that, we would ask that you indicate which goal you are referring to in your message, and at the very least, indicate which chapter or subject area you're referring to. So that's it. So let's get started. I know committee members have come prepared to do this exercise. I will still read the goals for everyone else and for the caller. The first goal under community services and facilities is to provide for active two-way communication between the town of Coventry and residents and business owners. Second goal is to repurpose vacant town-owned buildings and properties to support town operations and create new community spaces. Third, provide adequate funding for infrastructure repair, improvements, and ongoing maintenance needs. And last, maintain existing town facilities to serve residents and visitors at all stages of life.
Emily, I pressed a plus sign on my phone, and now I'm unable to add any comments whatsoever.
And you could try to go back to the existing link, www.menti.com. And the code for those of you using www.menti.com is 638555.
6-3, please repeat.
638555.
Yes. Thank you. All right, I did that. And where do I put my response?
It should be the same type of entry bar on the bottom of
Okay.
your screen. Are you
I'll
seeing
do
that?
that. Okay, okay.
We have 3 minutes remaining. One minute remaining.
I'll use this last minute to ask if anyone has any questions or concerns about the process here, or any other thoughts before we move on to the next slide.
I mean, can I make a quick comment about one of the suggestions?
Yes, please. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
just as I think I saw scroll past that we need email notifications for town meetings. We do have that. I don't think I can post the site in the link here yet without a question posted, but if you go to the town website in the information services section, there is 2 notification sign up options, one for the emergency notifications and another for all town meetings. And you can go to town meeting notifications sign up and they can register for whichever town meeting they want, and you'll get email blasts for when those agendas are posted and when it's live and all that sort of stuff.
Great. Thank you, Cody.
Hands up.
All right. Let's move on to the next slide. We're staying with community services and facilities, but we've got another set of goals. So goal 5 is to provide sanitary wastewater treatment, monitoring and maintenance to serve Coventry's commercial corridors and environmentally sensitive neighborhoods. Goal 6, manage stormwater runoff and mitigate water quality impacts, flooding, erosion, and sedimentation. And goal 7, maintain or increase the recycling rate and diversion rate through Coventry's municipal waste management program.
Three minutes remaining. One minute remaining. And that's time.
Great. We got a lot of really good input here. Move on to the next slide, please. So we are switching, we've got two categories here, both economic prosperity and sustainability and energy and renewable energy, and I'll read the goals for each. Under economic prosperity and sustainability, we have goal 1, develop one or more locations in Coventry to be a year-round strolling area, an economic destination, and a recreational asset for Coventry residents and visitors. Excuse me. Goal 2, capitalize on historic and cultural assets to drive tourism and economic development. And goal 3, ensure agriculture remains an important use in historically farmed areas. And under energy and renewables, goal 1 is Coventry's municipal buildings, vehicles, and equipment will be energy efficient and operate in a way that conserves energy resources. And goal 2 is to create community expertise in home green energy consumption and production to showcase renewable energy opportunities. Now, from what I can read, most everyone participating right now has the right idea, but I did just see a question that came in a few minutes back. What should we be writing right now? Additional goals or solutions to the goals here? And just to be clear, we're asking that you contribute solutions to the goals, and we're phrasing those as either policies or specific actions to help achieve those goals.
3 minutes remaining. 1 minute remaining.
I'm just gonna make a little sort of prompt for folks to do your best to write these in a way that that uses an active voice. So we'll certainly take the comments that you give us, but at this point, we have captured a lot of the issues in Coventry through the existing conditions chapters, which are, like we said, available on the website. And at this point, we do want to be forward-looking. So if you could keep that in mind as you frame these comments here, we'd appreciate it.
That's time.
All right, let's move on. So the next slide, we're going to be looking at, again, two categories, housing and transportation, which includes access and mobility, of course. So the first goal under housing is all Coventry residents have access to safe, sanitary, and affordable housing in proximity to job centers and public transit with designated growth areas. Within designated growth areas. The second housing goal is that individuals and families in Coventry have a variety of housing choices to fit their unique needs in terms of size, location, and amenities. And third, Coventry meets or exceeds the 10% low or moderate income housing threshold required by state law. And the goals under transportation, access, and mobility are to ensure Coventry's roadways are safe and effective for all users today and in the future. And the second goal is to increase multimodal accessibility and connectivity to schools, open space, natural resources, and commercial areas from any part of town.
3 minutes remaining.
And I wanted to note that we are back on time. So if folks do feel that they need more time on any of these slides, please raise your hand and let us know, and we can hold on for another minute or two if we do need more time on any of them.
Emily, just want to cut in and say someone in the chat's having trouble accessing Mentimeter, and I don't think I can help them. So maybe Leah or Emily Farmer or someone can try to get them on the right track.
Yeah, I'll just walk through the process again of using a browser to get onto Mentimeter. You would open a browser and type in www.menti.com. And as you get to their main page, you'd be prompted to enter a meeting code, and that meeting code for tonight is 638555. Oh, it's actually on our screen. I forgot about that. And right at the top of the screen here. And once you're in there, I believe it would take you right to this page that we're looking at.
And that's assuming they're in and can see that. So still, it would be good to refresh, again, it's www.menti.com, menti.com. And then the code again, 638555. 638555.
They're at time. I know Meg has also been putting their answers to these questions into the Q&A. So we do have a record of their actions. It seems like they may have left the chat, but just as an FYI.
Okay.
And just a reminder, if people really are having trouble, we are trying to put the questions and everything up on the town webpage so that you'd be able to click on a link and then be able to submit some answers thereafter. So I'll make sure to work with Emily to try to expedite that after the meeting so that people will, if you need to get on and just can't do this, we'll try to get that up working with Cody tomorrow or the next day.
All right. Again, got some really, really great comments here and great ideas for actions and policies. So let's move on to the next topic. So this slide is looking at cultural and historic resources. That's the chapter for these goals. The first goal is Coventry's cultural and historic resources shall be drivers of education, recreation, and economic development. The second goal is Coventry leaders support recognition of the shared regional history of colonists, Native American communities, local industry, and other historical inhabitants and activities. And third, Coventry leaders celebrate and support the vibrant present-day Indigenous communities, ideas, and cultures that thrive in Western Rhode Island.
3 minutes remaining. One minute remaining. We have 10 seconds, but we're all set.
All right, we are moving along here. So we'll jump to the next slide. And this is a double topic slide. Again, this one, we're looking at natural hazards and climate change and natural resources. 4 goals, the first 2 for natural hazards and climate change. Coventry's regulations prevent encroachment on floodways, freshwater wetlands, and other features that provide protection from storms, flooding, and the impacts of climate change. And the town is proactive in preparing for and reducing vulnerability to natural and man-made hazards and climate change. And for natural resources, goal number 1, restore and protect Coventry's water resources and improve water quality. And goal number 2, steward and preserve Coventry's natural resource areas, including wetlands, wildlife habitat and corridors, and surface and groundwater.
3 minutes remaining. One minute. Okay, once we see, stop seeing new input here, we will move on to the next slide, which is going to be looking at open space and outdoor recreation. It's 7:15 now. I will say it's looking like we might wrap up the exercise portion of the meeting early, which will give us a chance to open it up for discussion if anyone would like to revisit any of the topics, or have a comment, and unmute themselves and speak with the group, we can do that. So please do stay with us through the next couple of slides so we can have that discussion. Okay, Leah, next slide. So under open space and outdoor recreation, we have 4 goals. The first is improve access to open spaces and outdoor recreation facilities by enhancing information and communication systems. The second, maintain and enhance a broad range of recreational facilities to meet the needs and desires of all residents. Third, enhance multimodal connectivity to the existing bike path, parks, and trails to create a cohesive outdoor recreation network. And fourth, increase opportunities for public engagement and volunteerism in the creation, enhancement, and maintenance of public recreational areas and easements. 3 minutes remaining. One minute. We're all set, but if people have some more to add, feel free.
Does anyone need an extra minute? We have had some more input on this one. Okay, without seeing any hand raises, let's move on to the next one. This is our last category, land use. We've got 2 goals here that are pretty encompassing. The first is develop policies and guidelines that ensure smart and creative development and protect environmental quality and open space. The second goal is to enhance the aesthetic quality and overall livability of Coventry's existing neighborhoods. Excuse me, I'm fighting a cold if you can't tell. Sorry, I'm recovering from a cold. I want to mention under land use there, the reason we put this one last is because there is a lot of overlap. Land use is really the foundation of comprehensive plans. And so all of the other chapters, oftentimes you'll find policies and actions recommended under other chapters that are specifically related to land use strategies and land use goals. And that's a good thing. So feel free if you feel like you want to double up or if you need to repeat something here, we welcome that. But we'd also welcome new ideas. Let me
3
ask-
minutes remaining. Oh, sorry.
That's all right. For the person who wrote in, consider adopting an official map that lays out and plans for the town's infrastructure. Could you get more specific about that? Is that like a capital improvement planning map? Or sorry, a capital improvement map, or is it specifically for a certain type of infrastructure like sewer or water? Just want to make sure we understand the comment.
Sure, and I'm more than happy to explain that to you, Emily. It's Herb. I'm cheating by doing a level of participation today, but an official map is it's literally a map that you put together that lays out sidewalks, infrastructure like wastewater and water, where you would like it to go. It's very distinctive toward land use planning, and essentially it's your plan for how you wish to lay out your particular infrastructure and where. And you can use it in various venues such as budgeting, capital budgeting, grant programs that you may be seeking funding for. You can use it in the land use in the development and review process. As for instance, if a developer proposes something in an area that the town has not planned to put various infrastructure in, but that development has a significant input or impact on the area, it gives you justification for requiring the developer to put the infrastructure in, since it's not a planned area from that standpoint. It's a pretty common term that's used in various statutes, and I can fill you in with regard to that at the future in terms of that particular description. There's an easier, I just was trying to type fast.
No,
So
that's great. I
there's
mean,
a- There's a better description for it.
that's great. Thank you.
I missed the 1 minute, so 50 seconds, but I'll give you 1 minute. I see a request for more time, so I will not give you the 1 minute. I'll give you 3 more minutes.
Thanks, Emily.
Emily, I actually just put a link into Vermont statute that defines official maps, so you can understand what it is better.
Great, thank you.
One minute, but again, feel free to raise your hand if you need more time. That's time.
All right. Again, if anyone is still writing and wants us to wait, please let us know. I'll give 10 or 15 seconds to keep an eye on the Q&A. in case anyone wants to ask us to stay on this page. Okay, not seeing anything in the Q&A, not seeing any hands raised. I think that will wrap up tonight's exercise. So Leah, if you can go to the next slide, please. So as I said, we're wrapping up a little bit early tonight. I do want to open the floor for anyone who has comments or thoughts or ideas that they want to share. Raise your hand if you're not a panelist. If you are a panelist, feel free to unmute for committee members. And again, as Herb said, and I've said also, for anyone who didn't feel like there was enough time in general tonight, or you just want to go back and think about these things, you can do that on the project website. Right now, we have a general comment form, and you can enter your thoughts there. Remember to indicate what goals, or at least what element area you're referring to when you leave that message. But it sounds like we're also going to try to put something more specific on the webpage, some sort of a web form that makes it easier for folks to submit specific policy and action ideas relative to the goals. So let me just flip over to the screen to see if we have anyone that wants to share or speak up at this point. I do have one hand raised. Don, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you.
Yes, well, I just want to say thank you for making this a start. I guess we all need to start somewhere to create a better place. With people that have a drive, hopefully Coventry can revitalize that drive and just preserve what we have. But I just want to let everyone know on the panel that I'm very thankful to have people interested in our town, and thank you for creating this. Hopefully it would grow better and bigger. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here, Don. We really appreciate it.
Yes.
Arthur, I'm going to unmute you. You can go ahead. Looks like you are still muted, Arthur. Oh, there you go. Arthur, are you with us? Nope, muted again. I will go over to panelist Lynn. You can go ahead.
Thanks. I just wanted to note that I saw coming across the screen a couple different times someone talking about a trails commission for open space. And I just wanted to mention that the Land Trust is currently very involved in mapping the trails that are on the different Land Trust properties. In case that person was still on and didn't know about that, we're actively going out and making maps for those Land Trust properties. So just wanted to mention that.
Great, thank you.
Good to know.
I see a message. Oh, Arthur's the one on the phone. Okay, Arthur, I'm going to unmute your phone number now. See if that works. I
Can you
think
hear
we've
me
got you.
now?
Yes. Oh, sorry, not Arthur.
Oh, fine. So I was told that this was the platform to begin the talk of changes. I live in District 1, and I know that there's a couple of other districts that where are R5, and I think there's another district that might have just a bit fewer acres for zoning. And I just want to make sure that I'm in the right arena to start talks about the possibility of increasing the acreage for zoning. As you know, the comp plan, the current comp plan, which is outdated, mentions RR5 is rural, rural route, no industrialization, urbanization, you know, all that kind of stuff. We've been fighting the good fight for a very long time. We've been here 17 years. You know, 2 solar farms we beat down. We're now facing the 7 house cluster development at Camp Green. And Rice City is facing the same dilemma. It seems that the forests are decreasing, and we're, you know, as some of these slides talked about climate change, and you know, I just want to make sure is this the right avenue to go to bring about changes? Because every time we are in a zoning meeting or a planning meeting, you know, we reference the comp plan, but unfortunately now, you know, zoning, things are happening with zoning, and, you know, we didn't know about these cluster development ordinances, and now we've got cluster developments that are starting to show up. And it's like, how can we control climate? So I just, you know, from the work that you're doing,
Yeah,
is this
sure.
the right arena?
Definitely. Thank you for the comment. This is the right arena to be bringing these thoughts and concerns. Certainly, the comprehensive plan is the basis for instance, for future zoning changes. The town would be looking at the outcome of this plan to make decisions on any future zoning changes. So I think the answer is yes. I think there are probably a number of ways to meet some of the goals that you've mentioned here through zoning. And so that is very much under the purview of this comp plan.
Right, that's wonderful, because you know, it's like we go to a lot of the planning meetings, and you know, some of the public comments, and you know, this is some information that I never knew, and you know, it's this as a resident, it's a learning process. You know how the town government works, and one comment that I heard that resonated with me was that we are in what they call the dock corridor, meaning we the eastern border and the western border, the eastern border of Connecticut and the western border of Rhode Island, it has got the darkest corridor of forest, and that can be seen from outer space. And that says so much for what Rhode Island in general has done to its forests. And for Coventry, Rhode Island, to you know, we should hold that close to our heart, that we're part of that dark corridor, that, you know, Coventry has maintained its forests, its healthy forests for this long, but the rapid development that is in with the planning department right now, if you went and took a look at all the plans, it's mind-boggling. So I just think that we need to, as we're looking at this comp plan, we really need to take some serious consideration, not just for Green, Western Coventry, but for other parts of Coventry. You know, we're talking about the open space, recreation, all of this encompasses trees. And, you know, why plow down forests for wind turbines? Why plow down trees for solar farms. Or these two alternative energy trees are our alternative energy because they create oxygen. So that's my soapbox spiel.
Oh, we really appreciate the comments. And again, it's great that you're getting involved. I encourage you to check out the project website. We do have a few items posted there from sort of the first phase of this process where we did the research on each of these elements and wrote up chapters on them. They're not all posted yet, but they will be soon. And you know, as you said, this is a learning process. This is a lot of material for most residents who aren't planners, right? So some of those chapters can give you some good background and give you a sense of where things are going and how to think about some of these issues as far as they are a part of a comprehensive plan.
Okay. All right. Yeah, my husband and I will be active participants going forward. We just weren't aware that there were meetings taking place, so we're on board now.
That's great. Great to hear it. Thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
anyone else? We've got the floor open. And Leo, while I'm waiting, would you go on to the next slide, please? Okay, so we're looking again at the timeline here. We saw this slide earlier. I just wanted to revisit this before we wrap up tonight to do a quick review of where we go from here with the project. So we'll continue working with the committee to develop a draft list of policies and actions from the discussion tonight and of course from all of our findings leading up to this. And from the input that we gather in subsequent weeks from anyone who visits the website to continue this conversation. And once we have compiled and sort of scrubbed and cleaned up that list of policies and actions, we will fold them into a draft implementation plan. And that implementation plan is sort of the final piece of the puzzle that collectively creates a full draft comprehensive plan update. And so we're looking to that in the first months of the new year. Once we have the draft implementation plan, even probably before the full draft plan, there's going to be another public process, sort of a push to get that plan out in front of members of the public so we can again get feedback, have a public review process. And we'll also be inviting everyone to a third public engagement event where we will present that implementation plan in a forum, something like this, and listen to public comment on that. Meantime, we are submitting some of these draft chapters to the statewide planning division to get their feedback to make sure that everything is up to snuff on their end and that this plan is going to be an adoptable and approvable plan by the state. That's one of the goals of this whole process. So that's happening in the background currently and probably for the next month and a half, leading in again to pulling all the pieces together into a draft plan in the new year. So that's it. Last chance for questions tonight. I'll give a couple seconds here. If there are none, I want to thank everyone again for their time. Thank you, committee members, for showing up and really doing a great job tonight. You guys have been phenomenal thus far, and you continue to do that for us, and we really appreciate it.
Anne had her hand up, Emily.
Oh, great. Anne, yeah, go ahead.
One quick comment. You have a plan, it's an organized plan. There is a schedule for public hearings, submission of documents to statewide planning, and that's all very good. But there's no point in this schedule in which there is any kind of communication with the town council. And at some point, the town council will have to approve the comprehensive plan. And it's a very hefty plan. There are lots of goals. There will be action plans. There's a vision, a mission, etc. And I think that there's some, should be some consideration to giving some kind of a status update and some kind of a preliminary draft to the town council so they are aware of what is going on. I mean, I note that, you know, members can attend the public hearing and one of the council members is attending tonight, and that's all very good. But there are other council members who really are not in tune with what's happening, and perhaps they haven't even gone to the website yet. So I would like to recommend that you consider some kind of a schedule by which the town council has some kind of presentation before you get to the end of the line.
Thanks, Anne. We'll, I'll talk with Herb about that and we'll take your input and come up with some solution for that. I appreciate the comment.
Right. We already have, as you know, and from my presentation the other night, that there is, Ben and I have been looking at a possible change order with regard to the contract for Beta anyway,
Yes.
and that would be something that we can just factor into our ongoing discussion for that.
I think that that would be something that is very worthy of consideration.
Oh, yeah. Yep. No, I hear you loud and clear. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I don't see any other hands raised, so thanks everyone again and have a lovely rest of your evening.
Good
We'll
night,
see you in a
everyone.
few
Thank
months.
you.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Thank you.
Thank you.